Hello, Darklings! So today I wanted to do a slight discussion on designer goth versus thrift goth. Now this is kind of an odd phrasing, but from my understanding, when it comes to goth in history, it sort of emerged with squatter kids in the UK. So mainly kids that were going from house to house, shopping in charity shops, and kind of going for whatever they could find that was cheapest and happened to be black to go with their romantic sensibilities. The music that was favored at that time had to do mostly with post-punk and sort of theatrical rock. Like Bauhaus was very theatrical, lots of makeup was resurging, even though it had been out of fashion for a while in rock and roll. And it was just, everything had a more romantic, dramatic type of bend to it. And if you could find clothing for virtually no money, bonus. Layered necklaces, loose layers, pointed shoes, especially winkle pickers of any kind, John Fluvog, all of those were super popular, and the main staples, and the really intense eyeliner game, all of that fun stuff that we love so much and think of as being trad goth. But then it was just sort of what happened. The name goth, as far as I can tell, wasn't exactly attributed to it. But the thing is, I'm not precise on any of this because I'm still trying to find the bottom of it. But in recent years, goth has taken many turns. There are subgenres of goth like crazy, all kinds of things. And there are very elaborate names and bands and literature to go with every single little subgenre. It's very interesting, and I've found charts on it before, and it's all fun stuff. And I bounce around between genres, and that's totally fine for people to do. Some people are under the impression you find your niche and you stay there. But my point is, recently, in, I don't know, the past 10 years maybe, goth has gained its popularity in the past 5 or so years. It goes in and out of fashion, and so you get a lot of designer goth, and so you get clothing that is this goth thing. And I've been hearing about the health goth whatever that happened last year, or something to do with very expensive athletic clothing being pitched towards goths, and it's a weird type of thing because it sounds very stupid. I don't understand the people that will spend an absurd amount of money on clothing that looks cheap, like the resurgence of the grunge that has been happening, especially, I mean, I'm at art school, so I see this all the time, where kids go to vintage stores and spend obscene amounts of money on, like, really ugly flannel shirts, as opposed to finding it in a charity shop for as little money as possible. And they're not really thinking about the fact that when grunge sort of happened in the early 90s, it was literally because these kids couldn't afford nice clothing, and so that's just how they dressed, in comfortable work clothing. So designer goth, I don't have a problem with it because I've definitely seen designs that are more high-end and more expensive that are just awesome looking and look great on people and are totally worth the money sometimes, but for the most part, people that spend a lot of money to make it look like they don't make sense to me, and it kind of ruins one of my favorite parts about the gothic culture, which is the DIY aspect and the artist community aspect of it. And so I don't want that to die. And so when it comes to thrifting or designer only, I think an even balance is what works best. Sometimes you really can only find that item of clothing that you're looking for if it is designer or if it's new. I just prefer to get everything used because it's cheaper and it has a tendency to be more unique, and I really don't mind because I just own so many clothes. If they fall apart, I'd rather they be very cheap and I don't have qualms about getting rid of them and getting new things. Like this turtleneck I'm wearing is from the 90s. It's a mohair, fuzzy, hideous thing that I like, but I got it from a traveling trunk show for like $6, and I like that it's cheap, and I like that it has a very specific aesthetic to it. It's very 90s. The turtleneck with no sleeves thing was big in the 90s, and I mean, I got this hat from a beauty supply store for Not very much. I can't remember. But everything I have was more or less secondhand or from odds and ends places. Like I made this necklace, and this necklace I found at the same place I got this sweater, but this was from a local artist. This is a chipmunk paw or something. Some kind of rodent paw on a stone. And one of the reasons why I want Thrift Goth to be the main thing as opposed to Designer Goth is it does have this local artist support idea, and DIY is very strong. If you can make it, then you can have it type of mentality. And I modify most of my clothing for that reason, because there's a lot of these pieces that are totally unique if you modify them or if you have people you know modify them. And it has this artistic bent to it, and that's one of my favorite things ever, art. In case my videos have not made that abundantly clear, I'm all about the art things. So, on the one hand, I do not care if people decide that their brand of goth is designer, and I don't care if people don't care, really, what they're wearing, because I usually don't. But every so often, it's nice to have this feeling of name dropping. I don't suggest literally name dropping because it gets tacky really fast. But if you decide to go for nicer brands like Diesel, Buckle, I know that there are nice brands. I just don't really know what they are because I can't afford them. So, don't hate people who wear designer as posers, because I know that's a thing where they're just like, oh, you're just dressing up to look goth because you think it's cool and you're not really in the scene. And that's kind of a shitty thing because you don't really know. There are totally people that are like, oh no, I'm like so new goth. And I don't know what that even fucking means. But don't take it so personally if they don't do what you do when it comes to their approach to goth. And this is also applying to not just people you know in person, but people on the internet. I try not to judge other people's wardrobe on the internet because I don't fucking know them, and it doesn't really matter because it's another face. So I hope that you take that into consideration. So Thrift Goth, great. Designer Goth can be great. Either or. Doesn't really matter. Just don't hate each other for it. Anyway, till next time, Drake. Thanks.